This is Agricultural Research Council of Nigerian Television. My name is Joshua. I shall welcome you to yet another interesting special report right here on your first agricultural TV station in the nation. Until we happen to have some surprise visitors, we came to sign a memorandum of understanding with the Agricultural Research Council of Nigeria and their IOT. And with us here is Melanie Ayola, happens to be the Executive Director. Melanie, good to have you here.
Thanks for having us.
And
it's
we
pleasure
have
to be here.
All right, we have Mohammed Garba, a senior sales manager, who has said his height is quite intimidating. But let's not talk about height.
It's a pleasure to be here.
All right. Melody, you're here at the Agricultural Research Council of Nigeria. Basically, what brought you here, and what do you intend to achieve in signing this MOU with your company?
So, first of all, thanks for having us here. Being at the Agricultural Research Council, today marks a very special day.
Okay.
We've come to sign the MOU, and what that means for ARCN and IoT Africa is that we have two very critical components. One is the expertise of agriculture. What is farmed, how is it farmed, how has it been farmed, how does the climate affect it, what does it need, what are the new strains, what are the new seeds, how do they need to be dispersed, where are they going to work. And then there's creation of efficiency, the creation of data acquisition, and the increase of yield, and the increase of productivity, and the reduction in wastage, and the reduction in losses, which is created by technology such as Internet of Things devices and solutions. And so with our devices, they're wireless devices, and they can monitor essentially every aspect of the farming parameters, from moisture to temperature to humidity to location to behavior in terms of animals to weight, power on, power off. You could essentially monitor all the different parameters that affect your output, affect your ability to generate revenue as a farmer or as a farming business or as a farming industry. Monitoring this data gives ARCN the ability to see the numbers of the different parameters that are affecting the agricultural industry in Nigeria.
Oh.
And then we would know what to do, what different, they also have different technologies that they develop and they seek out that are tested and vetted in order to help the farming industry of Nigeria. And those different technologies that they have and the new strains of seeds and things that they have approved through this vigorous research need to be implemented with technology. Why? Nowadays we have big projects that come up. They require funding.
Yeah.
The funding needs to be validated by results.
Okay.
Results should not just be captured manually, but captured using technology.
Data.
Exactly. And so in this digital age that we are at, bringing the agriculture industry forward requires both an immense amount of experience and expertise.
Okay.
We have decades and decades of experience in ARCN.
Yeah.
And we need new modern technologies with the know-how to deploy the network, to deploy the devices, to manage the devices, to train on the platforms, to configure the platforms in order to give you the kind of dashboards that you want. So if you're a farmer, you could be getting nuggets of information.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I was going there anyway. Some of these agricultural diseases need proactive actions, and sometimes these farmers will not have access to come down to Abuja to get the information they need to get for Agricultural Research Council. Do you have a technology in which, like a farmer somewhere far away in Jigawa, can be able to probably send a picture of a disease or something through a device, and then you capture and then send the feedback as soon as possible? Is there any mechanism to?
Yes.
Okay.
So within our areas of expertise. There's a segment that covers software development.
Okay.
And with software development, you can create any application. We currently have applications that aid in precision farming.
Precision farming.
Yes. So what you're describing is more like an interactive directory for diagnosis. And those are that is easily achieved with different components within one software. It's just a matter of APIs and putting them together and meeting the specifications and requirements for responding to such a farmer in Jigawa.
Okay, interesting.
So the answer is yes.
Okay, now that takes me to Muhammad Garba. You know, farmers are technophobic generally when it comes to adapting to new technologies and all that. So now, as a sales manager, do you have some of these devices that are friendly enough for the farmers? Because believe me, sometimes when you see their phones, they are being managed by a rubber band and all that.
Yes, we do have the devices that will actually monitor these farmers to be able to interact with them at a particular point in time. But for now, what we're looking at is more of the radio stations because they prefer to listen more to radio when they're on their farms. Their phones behind.
True.
So with ARCN, we decided to partner to be able to have a base station whereby we need to broadcast to all these farmers on a particular frequency where they need to listen to information, whatever they need to do at a particular point in time, to be able to interact easily because most of these farmers are used to their radios and not to their phones.
Oh, interesting.
So that would be public information. I believe you guys also have radio stations.
Yeah, sure. It's just there.
Exactly. So when we have applications, these applications allow us to aggregate the data. Now, if I'm the farmer in Jigawa State, for example, we need to give this guy a name. What's his name?
Yeah. The person question?
Yes.
Let's say Alhaji Garba.
So Alhaji Garba on his 1,000 hectare farm needs to get answers to solve his problem.
Okay.
But he wants to
Okay,
use
now I
a
think
rubber
before you
band.
go any further, we'll come back, of course, you analyze that. Let's go on a quick break. Remains Agriculture Research Council of Nigeria Television. When we return, of course, we're going straight with Melanie's explanation as to how someone farming in Jigawa can get his solutions when it comes to problems in the farm. Stay tuned. This is your first agricultural TV station in Nigeria, where all we do is agriculture. First base agricultural TV station in the nation, of course. Before we went to that break, we have Melanie Ayola, Executive Director of IT Africa, and Mohammed Overseas Manager with IT Africa. Welcome.
Thank you.
Before I went on that break, you're trying to give us a breakdown on how you can be able to reach down.
Yes. So the farmer in Jigawa, you said he has an old type of phone and perhaps it's held together with some rubber bands. So how do we get the information to him? So let's also look at his point of view, apart from his mobile device being a little bit outdated and not being able to stream video or send voice notes, he probably wants to focus on farming and not become a technocrat or some kind of tech specialist. So he just wants what he needs. In this case, what we would do is to have a USSD function where you can text for the update, and based on your phone number, they will be able to use your location to know what the maybe weather conditions are for your area. And if it's a special feature where you're getting more than just weather conditions, because farming needs to look at precipitation, predicted precipitation, and the predicted heat, wind speeds, as well as pests. So a lot of our devices capture a wide range of parameters, and one of our devices, specifically the weather station, can predict the pests that should be coming around with certain kinds of weather. And this is very good because pests are very bad for yield. They shrink your yield because you can't sell things that have holes, leaves that have holes in or are eaten, and of course there can be massive spreading. And what do you do when you have a prediction given to you by an SMS? You're able to buy the necessary fertilizers, not fertilizers, pesticides, or you're able to take the necessary precautions to save your crops. And so he receives a text message to him with the response. There might be a charge for that, and he receives just a nugget of information. So imagine you press in your USSD code, you get the drop downs, and you want maybe, you don't want precipitation, you don't want temperature, you want pests. So you click on that and it tells you what pest is coming up within the next couple of weeks. These are all things that can be made possible by this, signing this MOU.
Now, let me address this. One of the major problems in Nigeria as we speak is insecurity and the like.
Yes?
How can IETLP be able to probably, do you have any sort of means in which you can be able to?
You'll hear me say this a lot. The answer is yes.
Okay.
When it comes to, let's say, animal husbandry, we need to protect the animals. So as it pertains to...
Protect animals in Nigeria, we eat them.
Yeah, but there will be nothing to eat if you don't protect them.
Okay.
So let's just say monitor them. So protection implies some kind of defensive security or something like that. But when it comes to IoT devices, we have subdermal trackers.
Okay.
We have collar trackers
Wow.
for cows, for goats, for pigs, and even for chickens. We don't have trackers. We have monitoring devices that can let you know once somebody has opened the door of where your chickens stay. And you can have different points. I mean, yes, there's CCTV, but if I had ulterior motives, the first thing I'm looking for is to take out your CCTV, obviously. If we're talking about insecurity, I mean, we all know what a CCTV camera looks like. That's the first thing I'm going for. So if you're really interested in having some kind of negative impact on somebody's livestock, then you're going to take out the obvious means of observing what you're doing.
Okay.
And so that's why we even got to the stage of subdermal trackers, because the collars that monitor the behavior, temperature, whether the let's say the cow, for example, is on heat or ill, you know, you can also monitor the behavior. How are they moving? Are they together? Are they acting scared? And you can receive alerts. But that's better if you have an enclosure, right? Because subdermal trackers at the point of maybe rustling or something, they would not see anything to remove. So you can identify the direction that they would have gone to. But in terms of the subdermal trackers, there are limitations.
Okay. Now let's go to this Deborah now. She talked about colors and all those devices, and they're like, how affordable and friendly to the farmer, because the point.
Yes, they are really affordable. because as we all know, based on the principle of the day, we're into food security right now. Because this is one thing you cannot take away from Africa. We're blessed, especially Nigeria.
Very blessed.
We're blessed with the weather, the soil,
And the manpower
and the manpower. The rest of the world actually depends on Africa
for food.
So if you're talking about affordability, it's definitely affordable. It's something that's affordable to your normal farmer out there. It's not supposed to be costly, basically.
It's information at the end of the day, right?
Just gather information, basically. You understand what I mean? Just gather information. Like when you spoke about security, most of the times you find insecurity. Most of these people rustle cows. These devices can even help you in tracking where these people are without them knowing. But you get to a point in time whereby they will stop rustling cows, because every time they find that they rustle cows, you'll find out where they are. So it's a total package. Or as we call it the smart agric, basically. It's a total package. As with the security, even your farm, your animals, or whatsoever.
I was in Jos maybe a Thursday, like a week ago, to vaccinate cows on anthrax and the likes. That 5,000 cows was what we actually vaccinated. And believe me, one of the major problems they face is this very issue you're talking about. How is IET, going to use this collaboration to see how you can reach out to these farmers in their numbers, because believe me, they are willing to adapt whatsoever means it is. Unlike before, they find it difficult to get them persuaded. They are so inquisitive. They want to know how they can be able to attempt new technology so that they can be able to sustain their farmer agriculture. How is IET going to use this very platform now?
With the collaboration with ARCN, we're willing to engage all these farmers. It was part of what we signed in MOU, to know what their challenges are, and we cannot get this information without ARCN. So by the time we're able to get this information, like what Melanie was talking about earlier on regarding the colors that reads the body temperature of the animal and all that, you see, when they have this kind of technology in place, they're able to say, okay, fine, this animal, we're able to detect, okay, this animal is not feeling fine. In a short period of time, we're able to diagnose to know what is wrong with the animal, segregate the animal from other animals so they don't get infected. Now, with the collaboration with ARCN, we're going to get the data on most of the farmers around the nation. Then we will approach them one after the other. We'll approach state governments also, since ARCN is more of a body that overlooks all these activities, to be able to direct us in the right direction, who to speak to, for them to be able to introduce us to these farmers, for us to be able to introduce these technologies to them.
All right, now let me come back to Melanie now. ARCN has over 32 institutes, agricultural institutes in Nigeria, directly under them. How do you intend to use this very platform to see they adapt to IET? Because at a point, a lot of Nigerians will tell you when it comes to technology and their likes, we know which, like we don't have the capacity to be able to adapt to. Like can imagine that Fulani man in northern Nigeria now is now adapting to technology to do color and stuff. Now we don't have the capacity. How do you intend to?
Okay, thank you for the question. So I want us to imagine a telecoms company. So we all have a type of SIM, a brand of SIM in our phones.
Absolutely.
When we wanted to speak to each other, we didn't go and set up the telecoms company. In fact, the cost of the license alone eliminates a very, very huge percentage of the country, because you can't even afford the telecoms license. So if we look at receipt of information in agriculture the same way, a farmer should not be expected to bear the cost of all of the technology that is required for him to get certain information. So with what I explained earlier about some of our devices can be implemented by the government. Government gets that data. They need that data to predict how is the industry evolving. Are we going to be able to meet our food needs per state for the nation?
Decision making.
Exactly. For decision making, they need that data. However, there is a very beneficial byproduct that goes to the farmers as and when they need specific information. So it needs to be a set of solutions, the end-to-end solutions we have, but they're utilized by multiple parties. So coming back to the question that you asked, how would we make use of the 32 institutes, research institutes and colleges, right? With the colleges you have test grounds, farms, they're learning, they're trying things out. It's very critical with any kind of technology. Being somebody who's in IT, you must do a POC, a proof of concept, so that those who are learning in the colleges get to learn. We must implement, put this IoT curriculum into a course or part of a course, so that the students in all the colleges get to learn the theory and then have the practicals, because the devices are available. So they learn it in theory, they go and they implement in the practical space that they have in their farms attached to the colleges. Maybe for the fisheries, it's a fish pond and not a farm. If it's arable, then it is a farm with wheat or rice or whatever the case may be. In animal husbandry, they have pens of animals. The devices will be utilized there to observe what data comes out. How do you manipulate the data? What does the data mean to you? When you analyze the data, what are your conclusions? And then, of course, before going to practicals, you learn the theory. And so that's where the colleges come in. Education is the best step towards removing ignorance and inspiring innovation. And so to eradicate the problems that we have nationwide, we must implement education and then the practical innovations, implementation of existing technologies that eliminate the problems we're facing. Now coming to the research institutes, the professional approach to data analysis for the agricultural industry, of which is segmented into 16 different research bodies. For silos, storage of grain, there's tons of information on just how to manage grains and storage of farm produce, not even just grains. You have fruits, you have vegetables, you have grains, you have meat. And one of the, you were saying earlier, so one of the key pillars of this government agenda is to improve food security. So just taking the silos, for example, we have internal, external humidity monitors. And that would make sure that there is not a high chance of mold to grow in the silo in a warehouse. Wherever you are choosing to store your produce can be managed by our technology, as well as pest monitoring. We have devices that monitor for the presence of weevils and other crawling pests. So
now before you round up, from the question you asked earlier on, how are we able to synergize with these 32 institutions, 16 colleges of agriculture and 16 other institutions? We actually intend to have more like a base station here at ARCN with interconnectivity with all these other 32 institutions, whereby they'll be able to send in data, be able to research, analyze these data before sending them out. So that way everybody's interconnected and they're working on the same thing at the same time.
So you can have the cross-pollination of ideas. Because the whole point of research is that you told me something about, what was it, Jos, right?
Yeah, Jos.
You were in Jos.
Yeah.
And while you were there, if there's data being collected on the cows, you could have a message come in from the control room that monitors the animal husbandry of Jos and come in and say, by the way, the activity that's going on, we are seeing a rapid increase in the body temperature of the cows that are receiving the vaccination. I think we ought to move them into the shade so they can relax.
Well, lastly, now, someone watching wants to know where you are, how to reach you, to be a part of whatever it is. How does you go about it? Have a website or something? So just go ahead.
Yes, we do.
Okay.
So we are located in Abuja and Lagos.
Okay.
and we have websites, iotafricannetworks.com. We also have social media handles, IoT African Networks. We're very social. We'd love for people to reach out to us and get their congratulatory messages for this new partnership, as well as their questions, their inquiries. And, this partnership is the beginning of a platform that can receive a lot of collaborations. So we'd love to get more questions from people. What can we do? Just to give you a nutshell of everything we do, we have precision farming equipment. You can use satellite imagery to see your farms. You can monitor your soil temperature. You can monitor your soil moisture level, and that would enable you prevent excessive expenditure on watering your farm when you don't need to. We also have nitrate monitors to prevent excessive utilization of your expensive fertilizers. So we're saving farmers money. We're saving them expenditure on fuel to pump water to water. We can monitor the cattle. We can monitor pigs. We can monitor goats. We can monitor feed troughs. We can monitor the weight of the feed troughs. You can monitor the average weight of chickens walking across one of our weight-sensitive boards. We can monitor the quality of water in a fish tank. We can monitor the level of nitrate, so you can see how polluted the water is, how clean the water is. And we can also monitor the flow of water. We can monitor doors, hatches, power, tractors, location of tractors, and whether a tractor is on or off. So the entirety of the agriculture space, all of the different ingredients and the components can be monitored. This data analyzed can be fed back to those stakeholders who need that data, be it an investor, or be it a farmer, or be it a farm manager who's working remotely, or an investor, a CEO, of an agribusiness organization needs to see his numbers. You don't always need to call for a report. Sometimes you need to just open your dashboard and see your figures and know that you are meeting your target that you set out to meet in that year.
Interesting. Wow, many thanks for coming through. It's still here, Agricultural Research Council of Nigeria Television. I've been discussing with Melanie Ayola, the Executive Director of IoT Africa, and Mohammed Garba, Senior Sales Manager of IoT Africa. Many thanks for coming through.
You're welcome, it's a pleasure.
See you same time, same station. My name is Joshua Shah. Bye for now.